Hello YouTube! Welcome to another seasonal anime recap. This is the spring of 2021 anime season. A season I had low expectations for, mostly because of how good the previous season was. Winter 2021 was truly a special season. In this recap, I will be talking about these anime. It's Bishonen Tanteiden, 2 Year Immortality, Jiren Nagatorozan, Kubo Season Core 2, Megalobox 2 Nomad, Odd Taxi, 86, Shaman King, The World Ends With You, Dynasty, and Vivi. Expect mild spoilers. I'll try to keep it on the down low, not give up plot points. I'll be ranking these on a scale from 1 to 5. The first and best and most desirable rating is an actually good anime. This is an anime I would not feel embarrassed recommending to my friends. If it's like worth it to watch and avoid, I would put it here. Decent, it's like, it's not terrible, but it's not good and it's not worth watching if you're not watching it seasonally. Maybe if you're a really big, avid anime watcher, you could watch this. Good for a seasonal. It's very low expectations on seasonal anime. If it's decent, I enjoyed it day to day, like week to week, it ends up here. Bad, it's bad. Dropped is I didn't even finish it. It's just that bad. And first off is SSS Dynasty. This lovely anime, this lovely anime, made by Studio Trigger, one of my favorites. They made a lot of my favorite animes throughout the years. This is a semi-sequel to SSS Gridman, which I didn't finish. I actually dropped that one because I didn't like it. I like this one a lot better. I don't know why. I think it's because after I dropped Gridman, I heard good things about it. I haven't finished watching it, but I heard a lot of good things about it, which encouraged me to finish and watching this. The visuals are occasionally very nice. There's some 3D CGI there that doesn't mesh very well often, but all the 3D animation is very nice. A lot of the fight choreography is very nice. The character designs kick ass. All of these characters I think look really cool. The main characters all look really good. The side like villains look pretty cool too. Plot wise, I feel like the mecha related stuff is pretty bad. There's very little motivation for why they're fighting in mechs or why they're fighting against other people in mechs. But the character plot is good. The character interactions are good. The character development is good. Vaguely, barely ties into the mecha fights, which is my main complaint about this show. From what I've heard about Gridman, Gridman is actually better than this. So I would suggest watch Gridman if you haven't watched this. And if you really like Gridman, consider watching this also. Next up, Jiren Nagatorozan. So this is a proper degenerate anime right here. I've been following the manga for a while, don't ask. And this is a pretty faithful adaptation, honestly. I think they really nailed the art style. They didn't tone down Nagatoro as much as I thought they would. The first few chapters of the manga, Nagatoro is like straight up evil. And in the anime, it's not like until the later half of episode 2 that they make her palatable. It's pretty accurate to the manga, almost to a fault. My point here is mostly, in some cases, the flow of dialogue in the anime is bad because they copied the dialogue directly from the manga. So in the manga, there's like some joke, she makes fun of him, she says Kimochi Warui 10 times, and in the manga, Kimochi Warui 10 times fits within one panel. In the anime, it takes 5 seconds. That's a pacing difference that's pretty major. But I think they get better about it. All things considered, if they make a season 2 and if they rush towards the character development in this, I would watch it. I like it. It's not bad. Next up. Bishonen Tanteiden. This is a Studio Shaft's production, written by Nisio Isin. I am a huge Monogatari fan, so of course I had to watch this. It's not Monogatari. It's not as good as Monogatari. It's hard to describe. I think the main failing of the show is it introduces all of these characters you see on screen at the same time. Way too fast. You barely get the chance to know all of these. The ones you get to know the most are the three in the middle, and these two guys, in the first season, they're nearly side characters. The main heroine is not in this picture. You get to know her pretty well too. It's a detective show, so there are mysteries involved. They're pretty fucking stupid. They do locked room or like contain in the room mysteries twice. It gets a bit samey. The first of those arcs is really good. The second one is really stupid. All things considered, I can't really recommend this show. I also now realized I forgot to put things in the tier list. We'll do it at the end. Next up. Oh god. Fucking Shaman King. I wanted to enjoy this. I grew up as Shaman King. Shaman King was one of the main shonens I followed when I grew up. It was like Shaman King, Bleach, One Piece, still going, Naruto, and Fullmetal Alchemist. Those were my 5 main shonens when I grew up. Now, probably well over 10 years ago. Shaman King has not aged well for a shonen. It's not as refined as we expect a modern shonen to be. And it doesn't help that this adaptation is shit. It's utter trash. It's super rushed, the animation sucks, the music is not very good. I dropped this after I think 2.5 episodes. Not worth watching. If you really want to engage with Shaman King, just read the manga. But honestly, looking back at it, Shaman King might never have been good. Next up. Ooh, this is a good one. Vivi. Vivi is interesting. Vivi is an anime original, so I didn't know what to expect at all. It's very well animated, and the action sequences in Vivi are actually insane. I think... Is Vivi made by Mappa? Let me Google this real quick. It's Wit Studio. Yeah, it's super pretty. In the first episode, when the first action sequence hits, you're gonna say, holy shit. And it's warranted. And it keeps up that quality, I feel, for the entire anime. In terms of story, I feel like it has some good ideas. This is written by the same guy who did Re:Zero, so I had semi-high expectations. The concept is very neat with the story that takes place over hundreds of years following these robots. I feel, though, it stumbles a bit. I feel like the first few arcs are really good, and then the last 2 arcs stumble. The ending is okay, it's not great, and it has some small plot holes, probably. If you like look at this with a microscope, it's not gonna hold up. All in all, this would be a fun season to watch, but not something I would recommend to people in 5 years. Next up. Ooh. Now this anime. This is a good-ass anime. So this is the sequel to Megalobox 1, of course. Megalobox 2 Nomad. And it's really good. I feel like the first anime, it had hype fight. It had oomph. It was decently animated. It had a kicking-ass soundtrack. This anime keeps all that, but it hones it. It's sharpened to such a degree. It's so focused. It's like concentrated. There's fewer fights. Every fight has way more emotional impact than it had in the first one. And it's way more character driven. This is just an unironically a 10 out of 10 anime. The problem is you have to watch the objectively 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 anime that Megalobox was first. If you've already watched Megalobox, fucking watch this. If you want to watch a good character-driven anime and you're willing to sacrifice a few hours of your life, first watch Megalobox 1, then watch Megalobox 2. I don't think you'll regret it. Next up, we already have it on the screen. This is probably my most controversial opinion of this season. I was not particularly fond of this anime. I feel like the concept is so crapsack. They have this concept like, oh, what if we make a world with segregation? And they don't even consider the other people as human. And then they just like smash that concept into the ground. They beat that horse until it's so dead. There's nothing left of it. Like they start off the first episode just giving you that concept. They're not subtle. This is not a subtle anime. They give you that concept. And then at every point they try to make it worse and worse and worse and worse. The 86 have it so bad, and still they find joy in their life. I didn't like anything in this anime except the Lost Ark. The Lost Ark is fired. The Lost Ark is fucking fired. The payoff is actually so good. I'm not sure it warrants the rest of the anime, but the payoff is good. I do like the ending. I am semi-excited for the inevitable season 2 of this, but I can't in good faith recommend this. It's okay. I'll watch the next one seasonally. All right, next up. This is one I was hyped for. I was really hyped for this. To Your Eternity is one of my favorite mangas of all time, featuring the immortal Fushi and his journey throughout the ages as he meets the people and evolves. Ooh. So far, I think we're halfway through the first season of this anime. I'm not sure what to say about it. Maybe it translates badly. I heard a lot of people not liking this. At the same time, it's very honest to the anime. And the pacing, I think, is just right to make the emotional moments really hurt you. But maybe you need this to be written. Maybe you need this to be a manga so you can read it at your own pace. In retrospect, I think this is something I've glossed over when I read the manga. There are a lot of fights in this anime and I don't like the fights. I feel like that's the weakest parts of it, and all the fight arcs are not good in my opinion. And for the most part, or I guess the bad part, is that the fight is the climax of every arc, which is not good. And I feel like that's very noticeable in the anime. In the manga, the fights are like 2 chapters. And then the rest is like 10 chapters, 12 chapters. But in the anime, the first part is 3 episodes, and then the fight is 2 episodes or 1 episode. It's more proportionally. I think that's the problem. I feel like that's the problem. Anyway, it has great music. It's well animated. If you want to cry a bit, and if you want to watch some semi-decent fights, you could watch this. I would recommend reading the manga instead. Next up. The World Ends With You. This is an interesting one. I never played the game to begin with. That's my first disclaimer. I never played the game. So I can only judge this based on the story that's in the anime and the animation in the anime. I'll give it this. The music is excellent. The opening is a banger. The ending is a banger. Any music in the middle of the episode, always a banger, always a bop. Character designs, oozing style. This anime oozes style. Action-wise, it's okay. It's 3D animated, sometimes good, sometimes it's really bad. Towards the end, I think it gets better than it is at the start. And I can't tell if that's because they get cooler attacks as they level up, or if they get better at animating it. Story-wise, I feel this is extremely rushed. Like, you have barely any chance to care about Chiki, you barely any chance to care about Rhyme. You do get some chance to care about Beat, he's on screen more. And you do have some chance to care about Joshua. Like, Sheik is in like 2 or 3 episodes. Rhyme is in like literally 2 episodes, I think. It's so hard to care about them. Compared to the game where I assume you get hours and hours upon content with these characters. I feel like that's the problem with video game adaptations into anime in general. It's hard to get the pacing right, and I don't think this did it. Next up. Woo, it's Spider Isekai! Spider Isekai Core 2! It's not even Season 2. I talked about this in the last episode. It's the same fucking shit. It's still really funny. It's still semi-well animated. It's still enjoyable. I would still watch this. The human side, still boring until the most recent episode. The last episode is not out yet, but the most recent episode throw a wrench in the works, which makes things a lot more exciting and interesting. But Kumoko's side has been fun, exciting, and interesting from the start to the end, and I love it. Whenever Season 2 comes out, I'll watch it instantly. I'm not gonna recommend you to watch it. Keep away from the isekais. But I'll watch it. I'll watch it. Oh yes. And next up, it's the anime of the season. It's Odd Taxi. I guess every time it's one of these, I'm gonna have to start with the usual disclaimer. I'm not a furry. But this anime is so fucking good. This is probably the best written anime I have watched in years. I would have to think back pretty hard to remember one that was more well written than this. Very, very few plot holes or loose ends. Basically, every character becomes integral to the plot somehow. There are some exceptions. The comedy duo is probably the least important, but everybody else is involved. It just manages to connect everything really well. If you were watching this, watch at least until episode 4. If you don't love this by episode 4, you can drop it. That's what I'm gonna tell you. This is my anime of the season. It's basically a 10 out of 10. All the characters are really funny and interesting. The dialogue is not natural, but it's good. Now, let's put this into the tier list I revealed earlier, since I forgot to do that. So here we have the bunch of anime I didn't watch. I've heard good things about Mars Red and Fruits Basket, but I didn't end up watching it, so we're not gonna talk about them right now. Up in actually good anime, we have Anime of the Season, Odd Taxi. We have Megalobox 2, Nomad. And I think that's pretty much it. Down in dropped, Shaman King. Down in bad, what's actually like bad here? These are close to bad, but they might be good for a season. I mean, no, yes. But I feel so weird putting everything in decent. No, they're not decent. They're all good for a seasonal. You default here, I guess. Who of these are actually decent? Vivi. I think this is actually it. I think other than Shaman King, I didn't watch anything really bad this season. The only ones I would recommend you, dear viewer, to watch is Megalobox 2 Nomad and Odd Taxi. Those are the ones. Let me know what you watched this season in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in a quarter of the year for the next anime season recap.